Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. This is not a health how-to, but rather a conversation with some amazing people I've had the pleasure of being with on my journey of life. Think of it more like Tuesdays with Maury, a fireside chat, or chicken soup for the soul. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy this conversation with a chiropractor. Dave, thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Oh my goodness, Stephanie. I'm so honored to be here. Little old me. You know, it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse a little bit. I'm not usually on this side of a microphone.
You're on the other side of the microphone because you are my producer.
That's true.
This podcast would not be where it's at without you. You're the lifeline.
It's a blast. I mean, you really do a fantastic job. So being able to tune into I'm really excited that I get to be the first person who hears every single episode that you put together. It's really fantastic. The inside scoop.
Yeah.
Right where I want to be.
And then you get to make things sound nice and take out anything bad.
You make it super easy on me.
So you are not only a podcast producer, you are a voice actor, you are a musician, you are a former radio personality. That is how we first met.
Yeah.
I want to go all the way back to the beginning of your life because this is a really unique thing.
Yeah.
So you were born with something called hemifacial microsomia.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So interesting stuff. I mean, hemifacial microsomia is a genetic congenital, I think is the word, the one, something that you're born with. I think that's the right phrase, but genetic condition that I inherited. It's actually a mutation that I believe a mutation based on my research that my grandfather picked up during his service during the Korean War.
Wow.
I got to interview him in high school about his military service. And I ended up being the first person he ever talked to about his top secret service that he did with the atomic artillery program in New Mexico. Yep. So he was exposed to quite a bit of radiation, both in trenches and stuff while they tested literally atomic tipped artillery shells.
Are we talking like this Oppenheimer thing?
In the 50s.
Part of this whole...
He was more of a soldier in that role, not really somebody who was in charge of a program, more somebody who was ordered to be a part of the program in different ways. But yeah, it was a program that apparently never really came to battlefield fruition. It was something that was only ever in test and evaluation type phase. Turns out that launching artillery shells with little atom bombs on the tips of them is not really the best idea. So according to my research and family research and conversing with him, potentially it's a genetic mutation. I have no family history of it outside of me. So I'm the first one to have been born with it.
Okay.
But it's a specific genetic mutation which leads to the underdevelopment of one hemisphere of the body, specifically localized to the head in most cases. So the hemifacial being one hemisphere of the face, microsomia being a somatic condition of underdevelopment or shrinkage. I had a very mild case of it. Really, the only part of my face that was underdeveloped was part of the middle and outer ear of my right side of my face. So I was born with no ear canal, no outer ear, just a little earlobe that had started to develop. So the only original part of what you see today is the earlobe. Everything else is reconstructed at a very young age.
And if anyone sees you,
Nobody really has any idea.
Yeah, no one has any idea.
It's more like a cauliflower ear, like I was a wrestler or in some sort of combat sport or something like that. I mean, it's ultimately.
I guess so.
Yeah. So most people, as a kid, it was a different story. Children are vicious and brutal things.
Oh, they are.
But,
let's talk about that a little bit. So you're born with this anomaly and your folks... When is the first time that you see a specialist or where do you go?
My parents were very proactive in the understanding, treatment, and exploration of this condition for me. I grew up in Illinois, a little north of Chicago, and they had access at that time in the early 90s to a program run by the state of Illinois called DSCC, or the Division of Specialized Care for Children.
Wow.
And they applied for coverage under DSCC for me to try to address the thing. So they ended up paying very little out of pocket it was still quite a hefty financial burden for them, but
I'm sure.
The majority of it, and really the amount that it took to get it done, was provided on behalf of that particular specialized coverage. I had multiple surgeries. The number that's always been in my head is like 7.
Wow.
But I don't necessarily think that's right. I don't think that's correct. It's probably 5, 6, something like that. But for some reason, the number that's always been in my head is 7. My mom has poo-pooed that a few times over the years. It's a number of reconstructive surgeries from the inside out. It started with mostly cosmetic work to construct me an outer ear visually at Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago. Before that, it's no longer Children's Hospital. It's something else downtown. So it's still child-oriented, but it's not named quite the same thing. But lots of memories from those halls.
I cannot even fathom.
It's almost like, for months out of every year, I was in and out of, hospitals, checkups, treatments, follow-up visits, bandages being changed and things like that. Because you're doing, it's plastic surgery.
Yeah. And the risk of infection is so high whenever you're dealing with skin and skin grafting.
The main structure of my ear is actually one of my floating ribs from when I was a child.
Wow.
You want to feel it?
Sure.
Yeah, get in there.
Sure. Okay, I'm feeling Dave's ear.
It's hot. Get in there hard.
Yeah.
Push, wiggle. Yeah.
It is very much like a classic ear.
It's phony.
Probably a little bit more stiff than,
Oh, yeah. It definitely doesn't come away like from the side of the head like your cartilaginous ear would.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an eardrum. I didn't have an ear canal. Your hammer, your anvil, your stirrup, the 3 inner bones of the ear are still slightly fused together. That was kind of where the development stopped and then didn't really progress past that. My left ear is entirely normal. It's done most of the heavy lifting my entire life in terms of that.
Do you have any hearing from the right side?
I do now.
You do now.
Mm-hmm.
And a classic traditional ear canal was built?
Yeah, so they did build one. It's not necessarily classic in a traditional sense. It doesn't produce any of its own wax. It's constructive skin grafts from different parts. Some skin was harvested from the inside of my right bicep. The arm, there's a patch there, I remember at one point. Some tissue was harvested. I'm not even sure of the layers of the skin in their technical names, but I have a long scar on my left groin where they went down a few layers and harvested some of that tissue to use there. And then there was some cartilage harvested from the left ear, moved to the right ear to get the little bump thing that everyone's AirPods.
Tragus?
Maybe?
What is that called?
Honestly, I'd have to look it up.
I know.
It's been so long since I looked at it. But that little part that then everybody's AirPods, get held in by.
That in.
Yeah, that part. So it's not nearly as pronounced, but it is, they did their best with it. And as a result, did restore some hearing to my right side. I would say at this point in my life, 30 plus years later, it's still a pretty significant hearing loss. It's maybe 30% useful.
Okay.
Whereas the other ear is probably still I would say about 90% useful. It's because of all the heavy lifting I've put it through. It hears less.
It does.
I definitely do I can tell that I'm missing some frequencies in my good ear now.
Because
after
of
this many years.
Damage to the eardrum, I'm
sure it's just due to sound saturation and things like that, and just overusage and sound pressure levels and the typical things that you pick up with a lifetime of listening to loud music and not exactly taking care of your hearing, right?
Yeah.
Mine in a little bit more so because it's the only one that I've leaned on I
Mm.
don't really know what the world sounds like in stereo. It's never really been I had hearing aids a couple of times
You
throughout.
did. You
Yeah, I
did.
did messed around with those before they really took. I mean, I would probably going to get back into them as an adult in my 40s, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Prices have come down, right? They're not $5,000 to $8,000 a pair now. So the outlook for that is hopeful, and I'm sure they'll be more useful. But at this current time, it's kind of out of the.
Yeah.
Look,
You're,
that's right. Still,
you're managing, right? And you're
yeah.
managing.
I lean on lip reading a lot
You.
for additional context and clarity. I ask for repetition a lot as well. I have to. I always have.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I got one normal ear. My eyes are sharp as eagle's eyes. I'll tell you that, though. I got like 20/13 vision in one eye. 20. It's the bottom row of any chart.
Wow.
It is 100. So, yeah, I guess there's a trade off somewhere, right?
Don't they say that when one of someone's senses is diminished for whatever reason, the other senses become more amplified?
I've heard that before for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if it holds or not in my case, but I'll take it,
You know, it's so interesting about like how we're born and different like factors. Like you can trace that back to your grandfather in that
Yeah.
atomic unfortunate
Weird.
situation as a
Yeah.
soldier. My grandmother, my mom's mom, was very nauseous during her pregnancies. And this was back in the time where they were giving women thalidomide. And a lot of babies were born with missing limbs
Oh,
or
wow.
different other congenital anomalies. Now, I have two uncles, my mom's two biologic brothers, who are both born deaf.
Wow.
And they suspect that the only reason my mom wasn't born deaf is because my grandmother vomited the medicine, like that that she
wow.
never digested it. So
Interesting.
my oldest uncle is 80. My younger uncle is probably in his early 70s, and they went to special schools. And, I think a lot about the discrimination that just even an average kid unfortunately has to go through. And then I think about like my uncles and what they had to go through and probably what you went through.
Yeah. I mean, there were many years in my schooling where I went to school with head wraps and bandages on, just white gauzy things wrapped around in a giant cup over my side of my head with a vial sticking out of it and tubes and things. You look like a half wrapped mummy sometimes. And, at the time, I look back on it now and I go, oh, that's legitimate trauma I suffered at the hands of my peers.
Yeah.
Emotional trauma, etc. Right, with the name calling and the questions and the constant, grossed out looks or things like that. Right. I don't hold that against them. These are underdeveloped brains. These are youths who really don't know better, aren't necessary. It was a time and a culture where different was way more weird than it is now. And we're just talking mid 90s, mid to late 90s.
I mean, that's such recent
I was born in
history.
89. So really
Wow.
up through there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You're so young.
yeah. It's just, it was interesting. But I look back at it now and I go, oh yeah, that was, I guess innocent trauma they were inflicting on somebody that they didn't know. I did my best with it, but I definitely know that affected me and probably still affects me. I mean, I'm shopping for a therapist currently just because it's something that needs to happen. I've done it before. It's time to jump back in and work through stuff, right?
Yeah.
Meditation in my 30s now. Really enjoyed that. And that's given me a lot of peace. But definitely.
How can it not? Like, how can it not during those developmental years for your peers teasing you and being mean to you? Like, how can that not affect your self-confidence in that developmental way? Like,
yeah, not only was I, different looking in terms of symmetry and things like that even though it was just an ear, I was also taller than everybody else. So you have that. I had that going against me as well. There was a lot of, where I'm looking for acceptance from my peers and, friendship and stuff. And I would find it in some of the more outlying corners of the social structure in school, but never really gained a whole lot of acceptance from those groups that you would call the more popular crowd or the more mainstream groups. I was
the
very
athletes
much
or the cheerleaders or the
right.
like. What is like classically in those categories of popular.
Yeah, I never felt that it was really for real, that it was genuine per se. It was more of a performative acceptance, more of a dance monkey dance kind of thing. They enjoyed my presence while it entertained them.
Mm.
I had a lot of acquaintances who enjoyed my silliness or my goofiness or all of the different things that I was doing to try to gain acceptance, right? I did so many masks that I wore at that age to deflect from things that I didn't like about myself. I think we all struggle with that to some degree. And those masks played their part, but almost in some sense self-sabotage to keep people at an arm's length too. I didn't
Right.
want people to get too close.
Mm-hmm.
Did everything I could to distract them from the things that I thought they wouldn't like. And, but what do you do? It's
Did you have people coming over to your house? Did you have playmates and things like that? Or was that not
not a lot.
something?
I didn't have a lot of schoolmates who would come by the house. We lived in a subdivision, and my friends were the kids that I hung out with, maybe a year or a couple years younger, that lived in the neighborhood. We weren't exactly the most affluent family. We didn't have access to a whole lot of capital at that point in time, lived very modestly, just got by, took trips as families to Milwaukee Public Museum and things like that, and zoos and family trips and things like that. But I didn't really have, and most of the friends that I had from school were in some sense likewise fringe kids as well, whose families didn't have a whole lot of money or came from poverty or understood my kind of trauma and differentness, and also couldn't do a whole lot. So maybe I would go over to their houses or something like that,
Yeah.
but the people I was around didn't have a whole lot of means. So we didn't really nobody was burning the gas to take kids across town to,
Yeah.
to do that.
Like we think about now in the luxury. And I thought about this the other day. When you have a child who needs medical care or a special accommodation of any sort, one of those two parents has to make the decision to not work. Like,
My
I mean,
mom was a substitute teacher slash stay-at-home mom slash Tupperware sales lady slash, jack of all trades, and made do with what she could. My dad's a landscape architect who's worked in that area for, almost 40 years now. And we didn't have a whole lot. We had enough to get by, and we made it through, the 07, 08 recession, this type of thing, right? This was late 90s, early 2000s. My parents had done pretty well in establishing that sort of nest egg to get themselves through. And it can be tough for sure. And with all of the doctor's appointments and surgeries and all these things, dad had to work, mom had to take in, but yet they still kept us in sports. They still kept us doing, my sister, bless her heart, she's an absolute delight, deserves all the blessings. She was a 3/4 sport athlete. She did figure skating. She did all these things. She's 4.5 years younger than me. So, I did a little bit of basketball, a little bit of volleyball, mostly band and music and things like that. So my parents kept us in these things, and I developed different groups of friends and friendship circles. But there wasn't a whole lot of people coming by, this type of thing. It was, if I wasn't with the kids in my neighborhood, I was hanging out with my sister or hanging out by myself.
music, I think, for so many people is such like a comfort and such a creative outlet. So post high school,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? What are you going to do? Where do you decide? Are you going to
So
go to college? How does that
high
look?
school, I did, pretty severe ADHD as well. So I diagnosed at a very early age with that too, probably 11, 12 years old. I had the benefit of, again, attentive parents who saw something and went to seek advice and information on the thing that they investigated further.
Nice.
My mother always paid attention to the things that we were experiencing. My parents are both very fantastic parents. I get so lucky. I don't talk a whole lot when people are bringing up like family woes and things. I don't have a lot to offer because I know very well that I really lucked out with the quality of the individuals in my family, very much so. compared to some folks who, I've known throughout the years, or, all the stories one would hear about.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have that at all. I had the opposite. I had very attentive, very compassionate parents. And I really look back on that and, I've said thank you many times over the years for that kind of love and encouragement and all of those things. Post high school, though, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to major in music performance. A trumpet player for all through. And that was the first instrument I picked up. And I played it all through elementary, middle school, and high school. I picked up guitars in high school, and I've been doing guitar ever since. I can still work my way around a trumpet. It would take me a couple of years to get chops back to where they were, but in fact, one of my trumpets just went to my nephew,
No
in
kidding.
my on Katie's side of the family.
Okay.
Her nephew, my nephew-in-law, her sister's son just got one of my silver trumpets for his new foray into music performance. And Katie played trumpet in high school and band with me.
You guys know each other?
We did. She was a year ahead of me in school.
Oh
And
my
yeah, that's a whole story in and of
goodness.
itself that came up during the pandemic as well. So
I
the
think-
wild stuff. Yeah.
I mean, tell me how you and Katie connected romantically. You grew up together. You both played the trumpet.
Yeah. It's funny. We, Katie, my now fiance, ran in slightly different circles. We were both in band together, both played trumpet in high school, both were in the same section and near each other in chairs. She was a year ahead of me in school. We were acquainted, but I wouldn't say we didn't have the same friend circles. I knew a majority of her friends and they knew me, but we didn't date in high school. We were bandmates and friends in that way, but we didn't really hang out. We didn't hang out. I crushed pretty hard.
Wondered. I was going to say, did someone have a crush on someone?
I did, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Right. But,
the older girl in the trumpet section.
Of course, talented, beautiful gymnast as well. And,
Oh.
yeah, absolutely. So absolutely admired her from afar. And then she graduated in 2006. I graduated in 2007. She goes on to do other things. We don't
Run into each other.
No, we don't.
You're not in the
She
same
goes
college.
to college at NMU up here in Marquette. She, she goes about her life, lives in Lower Michigan for a while, works at a winery for a while, does all the things. And I moved to Indiana in 2010 and late 2009, 2010, something like that. And lived there till 2021. I get married, I get divorced. I have 2 stepkids from that relationship that I still talk to this day. But it's a wild story. It really is. We reconnected in all places, on TikTok. Yeah. So this was in 2020. We were in the throes of the pandemic. I had seen so many people just, everybody was doom scrolling, right? Everybody was on TikTok.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
It was the new hot thing. And we were all locked in our homes and there was nothing we had the opportunity to do other than just sit there and scroll or make videos, talk to our phones and interact with people that way. So I saw a bunch of people singing songs and singing sea shanties. And this was a wild trend at that point where people were just singing pirate songs and people would stitch into other videos and sing harmony parts and do all this kind of stuff. So I jumped in on that. I was like, you know what? Some people are making money doing this. Let me see if I can make any money doing it. I love singing. I sing.
Yeah.
I play instruments. So I started singing sea shanties. And wouldn't you know it, one of those sea shanties that I did, I amassed a following of about 17.8 thousand followers on TikTok.
God,
Yeah.
that's really huge.
From singing songs and doing fun stuff like that. I think I made a total of like $16 off of TikTok. Those cheap bastards.
7,000 followers?
Yep. Still not near what other people were getting, but it was still pretty cool. It was the most followers on any platform I'd ever
My
gotten
gosh.
at all. And it's still that number. Like it hasn't gone down. I checked, but one of our sea shanty, another creator and I had sort of stumbled upon and invented this sort of subgenre of sea shanties, if there could be such a thing, that we were calling pop shanties, where we were taking pop songs and turning them into sea shanties.
Wow.
Where you just slapping your leg and you're like, so we did I don't even remember the artist now. That's on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, the song was called Wet Ass.
Okay.
Called WAP. That one.
Okay.
It was a really popular pop song at that time. Yeah, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Who did it? But
Rihanna?
no, that's not right. I'll look it up for sure. Cardi B. Cardi B did WAP. So, and we did a sea shanty version of WAP that went viral on TikTok, and people made their own video versions of it. They did all kinds of stuff with, I mean, hundreds of thousands of plays and views. One of Katie's friends up here at the time, just unironically sent her that video.
Like, look at what this guy is doing.
Yeah.
She doesn't know you.
Yep.
She doesn't know that you and Katie knew each other.
Yeah. I can. In fact, I'll pull it up here. We'll find it. It's definitely. Oh, okay. We're 17.6 thousand followers now.
Wow.
Well, there's the profile. Yeah. So
for our listeners, so Dave, how tall are you?
I'm 7 feet tall.
7 feet tall.
Yes.
And you have kind of a reddish beard. You could be a pirate.
Yeah.
You could be a Viking.
Yeah.
You could be in any movie. You would fit the part. So that is what this profile picture looks like.
It's me just staring down at my phone, taking a very
love it.
Flopsy picture of my hair. Let's see. Anyway, so while I'm telling the story, I'll keep scrolling for it. Maybe we'll play a few of these. And
I was going to say, you actually wrote a song about, well, it's called the coronavirus song, which we are going to play.
Okay.
But we have to find out what happens when Katie sees the video.
So her friends goes, oh my goodness, listen to this guy's voice. It's so deep. And she goes, well, fuck his voice. I know that guy. Like, holy cow. Like, how did you? And so anyways, she reaches out to me to say hi. And we end up reconnecting that way. And it was a really beautiful moment. I didn't, expect anything to come out of that per se. It was just two people who went to high school together going like, hey, oh my goodness, you're on TikTok doing this thing. Guess what? My friend sent me this video of you. Like, it's awesome that you're doing that. And awesome, congratulations. Like, it's so needed. Like, this thing's going viral. And I'm like, yeah, who knew? Right. Like, and so we just caught up with each other. And I had another friend on TikTok as well, somebody that we'd both gone to high school with as well, who was in there, who we were both mutual friends with on the platform. And I was like, oh my God, Hannah, you're never going to guess who I just reconnected with. Like, oh my goodness, it's Katie. It's Katie. So, all those old memories come flooding back from high school and the unrequitedness of the whole thing. Right. And just the joy and the good memories of laughter and friendship and camaraderie and all these things. And I end up, I have to say something about it. I have to say something about it. And I bring up the fact that I, crushed on her really hard in high school, and we just get to know each other more and start talking. And it really comes together very organically. And little do I know, I find out later that Hannah is playing both of us against the middle and kind of just eating popcorn along the way and watching things come together. And she's fielding conversations from both of us about the other person. and this whole, she's just she's orchestrating this meet cute or this thing. And, it's so great. So I shoot my shot, and make my desires known. And I just go, I would love to see if we can make something out of it. I don't know how you feel about it, but like it, and she agrees, and we get to know each other more, and we're talking on the phone for hours at a time. And she's, it's after work for her. So we'll talk from the moment she gets off of work to the time until she falls asleep on the phone in bed, and then I'm like reading stories to her, and I'm doing all these things. And it came together so beautifully. And, in 2021, we're both in our, creeping up on our mid 30s, 33, 34 years old, this type of thing, going like, we've dated so many times together. We've dated so many times. It was 604.4 thousand plays on this original video.
My gosh.
That went viral. I have not checked those numbers in quite a while. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But it comes together really beautifully. And we sit down and we say, hey, we don't really need, if we're going to do this, let's do this. Let's jump right in. Yeah. We neither of us like the idea of a long distance relationship. Mm-hmm. Neither of us really relished dating. We've done plenty of dating. Mm-hmm. We feel something very special with this. Let's just send it and commit and see what happens. And so she invites me to move from Fort Wayne, where I was at in Indiana, all the way up here to Marquette. I break the lease on my apartment, pay the $1,700 to do that nonsense, right? I had sold a home the previous year. So I had a little bit of cushion money. And I break my lease, pile everything up into a U-Haul from my apartment that I'm living in. I throw my car on the trailer on the back of the U-Haul and drive 8 hours from Fort Wayne to Marquette. Mm-hmm. I had come up in May of 2021 for a visit. I drove up, and because we were like, well, let's get together, let's hang out, let's see if this, because who knows, right? I'm meeting friends. So I hung out with friends. We hung out together. We, see if the chemistry's there, right? Yeah. It sure was. The chemistry was absolutely there, and it still is to this day. She's my absolute favorite person on the planet. She's my savior, my watcher, my protector, my guide, my North Star. She really is everything to me. And I won TikTok. I had not been on the platform since. I stopped uploading videos. I beat the game. I think I beat the game. Pretty sure I beat the game.
You didn't get the financial reward. No, but
I got way more than that. The value of what I got out of my time on TikTok is, is that $60? $60 just sitting in my, I do. Anyways, who knew? The taxes on that is going to be outrageous, so I'm never going to collect it. It cost me almost $300 to file that $16 I got from TikTok, so it was not worth it. So we'll see. But and you can see after so many years, it's still only $6. Crazy, but it just shows you how many views you really need on that platform to make anyone, right? It is insane.
That's
insanity. A whole nother conversation we could have. But my goodness, yeah. So I beat the game.
That is the most beautiful tribute I have ever heard. A partner describing their partner. Oh. I mean, really, that is so beautiful.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, she is the greatest. I tell you what, you want to talk to somebody who's super unique and whose life story is really interesting. I mean, and who's gone through ups and downs. I mean, my goodness, we just lost her mother, Sue, at the end of August, beginning of September, 2024. And the grief journey she's been on has been,
and her mother must have been fairly young.
She had older parents.
Okay.
Her parents are both in their 70s. So yeah, late kids. Okay. For them. But it's so sudden from pancreatic cancer.
Oof.
Very sudden. We're talking weeks. So
Oh
from
my
diagnosis
gosh.
to the end, it was very sad. Still is, a very heavy subject in our home, and her grief journey is ongoing.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing to be her partner.
Mm.
It's funny. I get a lot of questions from people, especially in this area. Uh, are you gay? I get that a lot.
They say that to you?
Yes. You know why?
Why?
Because I refer to Katie almost 99% of the time as my partner,
Okay.
because she is the only person on this earth qualified to stand directly next to me in this life. We literally, she qualifies as a partner in every sense of a CEO or a law firm. She is my equal in every way. And I can't think of no better phrase for her. Wife seems too possessive. Fiance seems too, what's the word? Dismissive almost. Partner through and through. Absolutely. She is so smart, so kind, so loving, so empathetic, and just one of the best people you'll ever meet. And I do not know what my life would look like without her, or will look like if I go after her. Tell you that. Who knows? But she is absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't ask for a greater soul to spend the rest of these rotations with.
How beautiful.
I
I
couldn't.
mean, really. This is her birthday, Valentine's Day present, maybe a Christmas present too. I mean, this is a pretty spectacular accolade
I'm telling you,
of another human.
she's just absolute best. She's in Oregon right now, seeing Hannah and her family. She's out there for a concert for a group called Spitalfield that she's been a big fan of since high school days, when I think when they formed around, but we were in high school. So she Frankenstein some OG concert t-shirts together and flew out to Oregon and is hanging out there right now for a little while. They got, oh my goodness, they all got a beautiful tribute tattoo for Sue, all three of them. So Katie, Hannah, and Hannah's partner, Sean, all got the same. Sue taught them a game that they all played together as youths, high school, and into college, through college, when they would come together to play this, called Rummy Cue. You ever heard of this? It's the tile. It's got tiles, and you match sets of numbers and things. So they got Rummy Cue tile tattoos.
Oh my gosh.
Of the Joker face, of the face, and then in the little detent that's underneath it, they got a heart and an S in the middle of it, all as a tribute for Katie's mom, Sue.
I love that.
They would send me pictures of those. So she's having a fantastic time. She travels. She's the best. She's the absolute best.
How beautiful. I mean, what I love about this conversation is that we never really know where it's going to go, right? We know how we're going to start. It's organic, it's natural. Today, like, tribute to Katie.
I love it.
I want to end with a little bit of your music.
Oh, okay.
I would love to play the coronavirus song, if I may.
You can.
And if you can find the other song.
Sure. I've got a bunch here we could probably we can probably put together. And because I'll be editing this later.
Yes.
And cutting out all the parts where I sound like a doofus. I'll be sure to put the whole song at the end, and a link in the description if people want to listen to it as well, and in the high, the higher quality style. And
so should I not?
No, please go ahead.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right, here we go. We're going to listen to the coronavirus song by Dave Ploss.
I know that you're scared to catch it. I know that it frightens you. But in the end of it all, there's nothing we can really do. Social distancing is helpful. Wash your hands and wear a mask. I like a comedy song in a sense, right? Be mindful and just try to remember that. Never make it all right. Even if I got it warranted, everything don't be all right. Even if I got it warranted,
Wow.
Too funny.
That is amazing,
Too
Dave.
funny.
Well, Dave, my producer, the producer of this Conversations with a Chiropractor
Yeah.
podcast, I'm so grateful for
What a great
your
show.
time.
I tell you.
So grateful for you to
No,
give
absolutely.
us your story. And
I'd love to come back. Keep telling you. I'm telling you what. This
Yeah.
this is fun. It's way more so at ease when we're talking to you. I how everybody else feels when they come into this office, have a chat on this fantastic podcast. It's really a blast, Stephanie, to be a part of it and to be able to help you put together such fantastic content. I look forward to so many more episodes. It's going to be great.
Yay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Absolutely. I'll happily come back soon. Let's keep chatting.
Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. Tell you what, thanks again.
You are so welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, like, or subscribe? You can find me on social media at wautierwellness.com, Dr. Stephanie Wautier on Instagram, or Wautier Wellness Chiropractic and Massage on Facebook. And I'm so curious where your next conversation will take you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boy, that's nice. Sound familiar? I know that you're scared to catch it. I know that it frightens you. But in the end of it all, there's nothing we can really do. Social distancing is helpful. Wash your hands and wear a mask. Whatever you do, be mindful and just try to remember that everything's gonna be alright. Even if I gotta quarantine tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Even if I gotta quarantine tonight. We have to try to stay calm. Let professionals do their job. If you have to go out and buy things, don't behave like a swollen mob. Check on how your neighbors are. I know I checked on mine. While you can put some gas in your car and just repeat to yourself that everything's gonna be alright. Even if I gotta quarantine tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Even if I gotta quarantine tonight. All right. Thank you to the doctors and nurses. And all of those truckers, too. This world would surely grind to a halt if it weren't for all of you. We would do well to remember the sacrifices these people have made to keep the shelves stocked with toilet paper and try to keep this virus at bay. COVID-19 may be the spark that burns this system down. We must take our leaders to task, from mayor to crown. Brothers and sisters, stay healthy. It's up to us and us alone. Together we can save our world, so long as we spread the message that everything's gonna be alright. Even if I
if I got a quarantine tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Even if I got a quarantine tonight. Oh, my. Singing. Yes, sir. Get in it, guys. Hey, Donald Trump. Oh, shit. Don't you worry, buddy. We got it from here. Don't you worry your pretty orange face. And Tangerine Palpatine. We got it, don't we, brothers and sisters? Yes, sir. That's right. Absolutely. Everything's gonna be alright. Even if I got a quarantine tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Even if I got a quarantine tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Even if I got a quarantine tonight. Woo, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, for sure.